Welcome back to the Marathon Mortgage Happy Hour. I'm Mike Witzak.
I'm Rory Farrell.
And who is this in the middle here?
This handsome gentleman here.
Toyberman.
Welcome, Jake. Thanks for coming on to the podcast. I know kind of hit you with this one last week, and you were all for it. You jumped right on the opportunity to come on. I really appreciate it. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much for having.
Yeah, absolutely. So as per usual, we'll run through the beer here, and then we'll get a little bit into you, and then we'll discuss our wins. So
You want to pour, and I'll talk about the beer a little bit.
I got you.
Today we are going to be sampling. It's called Little Lighthouse. So it's a milk stout, coffee and milk stout from Warwick Farm. So we've done a bunch of Warwick Farm beers on the podcast. Warwick, Jamison area, right off of 263 in Alms House in Bucks County. So one of my favorites. And full disclosure, it's 10 a.m. right now. So
Yeah.
I figured a coffee milk stout was probably the way to go. Maybe not a double IPA type of morning, but it's just a different style than we typically do. It's going to be nice and smooth, nice and creamy. The milk flavor comes from the lactose that's used in the brewing process. So it's basically a milk sugar. So thank you. And it'll be a nice little morning sipper.
Nice. Well,
Hopefully we're productive after this.
Looks very appetizing.
Yeah.
So cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
What do you guys think? What flavors are you feeling?
Coffee.
Coffee, yeah. Roasty.
Most certainly. I really like the aftertaste too.
It's got a little sweetness. Yeah. And it says right here, coffee beans and lactose. That sweetness comes from the lactose.
There you go. Interesting. Yeah, have we had a milk stout on here before? We've done one or two of them, right?
We've done other stouts. I don't know if we've done a milk stout.
I feel like we have.
We've done an Irish stout last.
We've done a
St. Patty's
coffee
Day.
one before too.
Yeah.
And I don't think I was a huge fan of the last one, but I like this one a lot. So
Do they have a place there where you could come in and drink in-house?
It's one of the most beautiful tap rooms I've ever been to.
Really?
Beautiful. Yeah. It's so if you're familiar, it's 263 in Alms House.
Yeah.
It's right. It's like probably 2 minutes up Alms House. They have this giant property, giant hop fields, big outdoor beer garden. But then the actual tap house is like this. They built it from scratch, but they made it look like an old school like chalet cabin.
I will be there
incredible.
in less than 2 weeks checking that
Yeah,
place out.
and every
Wow.
one of their beers that I've had has been excellent. Like they're only a couple years old. They opened up in the pandemic. Started out really smart. So pandemic was obviously shutting everything down. They were like, we're gonna fire cans out of the back door, and they just sold cans, and they just financed themselves and got through the pandemic. And now, I mean, it's incredible. It's one of my favorite places.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that's
check it
impressive coming from you because knowing how many tap rooms you've been in, doing beer
Hundreds.
sales and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. All right,
Glad
great.
you like it.
Yeah.
There's a win right there for me.
Perfect. Perfect. So yeah, Jake, again, thanks for coming on. Now let's kind of get into you a little bit. How did is real estate your first career, or did you get into this from another career? How'd that all happen?
No, real estate was not my first career. Actually, banking was.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a bank manager, or started off in retail banking as a banker, licensed banker, and about 15 years in retail banking, from all the big box banks to the smaller box banks. So yeah, and then it was a great experience, and it was fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah. So you know a little bit about our world, then, I'm
You
assuming.
get the
Yeah.
finance, but
Oh, I most certainly do.
Yeah,
I
yep.
most certainly do.
That's awesome. Well, that's a great thing to know as a realtor, though, because I feel like a lot of people who get into real estate don't have, I guess, a ton of knowledge on the mortgage side. When you get into real estate, I know, when I was even getting into mortgages, I didn't know what we did here, what we were doing. I know Rory is the same way, right? You got into this, your dad was like...
yeah, I mean, it's foreign to you if you've never bought a house before, if you never, you didn't grow up with that industry. My dad actually worked at this company for 20 years prior. That's how I got working with them. But even then, like, I lived in California, and then buying a house in California in your 20s was not even close to on my radar, so it just wasn't something that I thought about.
What part of California?
I lived in San Diego for 8 years and then San Francisco for 2.
Awesome.
And then realized that we would never own a home in San Francisco. So
Yep.
we moved back in like 2015, 16. So
Awesome.
Yeah. And do you think that's your banking past? I mean, obviously, I feel like it has, but do you think that helps a lot with making your clients comfortable and helping them out through the whole process?
Yeah, it absolutely does. But I think anyone that has some sort of a customer service background will have an asset. But banking, most certainly, because it's all about customer service when you're in retail banking.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
interesting. It's more you felt like you pulled more of your customer service as an asset versus the financial part. That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Like you said, the financial part probably doesn't hurt, but
I mean, it's right there. But customer service, because everything is graded up on your reviews, feedback, until you're blue in the face, and that's really you're forced to deliver white glove service.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what goes a long way with people, and that's how you get referrals in this business, which is what you kind of live for, is referrals. So
Precisely.
if you're not doing white glove service, then nobody really wants to work with you, unfortunately.
Yeah.
but
But
a second time at least.
Yeah,
you might get them the first time.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a long career in this industry.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then how long have you been doing real estate for? When did you start your real estate career?
Got my license about 5 years ago.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then you've been doing it ever since, full time, or?
Yeah, exactly. Full time. Actually, the way we transitioned was while I was still in banking, we ended up, my wife and I, we ended up purchasing our first rental property.
Okay.
So my goal is to continue to help others while still acquiring and teaching others how to acquire investment properties.
Yeah, and I remember seeing, and if you guys don't know, Jake does a lot of social media as well. I'll put all of his, hashtags or links here right on the screen. Then I'll put them all in the bio as well, so you guys can go check him out. But I remember seeing a while ago one of your reels. You were saying, "Look, I don't care what my children want to do in the future. They could be whatever they want to be, as long as they're buying rental properties. I don't care."
Yeah, I mean, to me that resonates because the fact that at the end of the day, no matter what we do, we want stability, we want security as human beings, whether it's shelter, spouses, or anything of that nature, businesses. We could work at a Fortune 500 company, but in a downturn, they're still going to have layoffs. We're still not really that secure. In businesses as well, again, we are dependent on the economy, and if it's a downturn, it's difficult to survive.
Yeah.
So by having assets, that's really, I feel, in my opinion, of course only, that is the best way to shield yourself from any insecurity.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. And I think if there's ever a better time to talk about that, it's right now, showing this market and what we've all been going through. And how have you been feeling with this market? Are you still, do you feel that it's slow? I know you're a very busy realtor and you're very good at what you do. And I feel like talking to realtors like you and getting this out is good for other people to learn from, because you obviously have a lot of experience. You're still chugging along in this market when a lot of people are getting out. Do you feel like there's something you're doing differently, or is it kind of just putting your head to the grindstone, or your nose to the grindstone, and working hard?
Just like every other realtor, I've taken a significant hit, essentially, as far as production-wise, of what I'm capable of, what I was used to doing. Again, economy affects all of us in every aspect of life. So we just have to figure out our core pillars. Where is that support, a crutch that we can have, and then double down on those support crutches so we don't spread ourselves too thin. But yes, yeah. I've been tremendously affected, like most other realtors.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think speaking in our business too, we've all been title, loan officers, everybody's been affected, but just, it's all swing, right? So we're on this side of the swing, and when we come back here, a lot of people are going to be out of it, and we'll, hopefully still be here doing what we're doing. So as far as being in real estate for 5 years and collecting rentals, I guess, you passed one now, or do you have multiple rentals now, or?
A couple.
Okay, mm-hmm. There you go. Very nice. Yeah. That's what I'm on.
Close to the chest.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Smart.
Michael's got a couple too.
I got a couple too. Yeah. But that's
maybe on the different podcasts we could share horror stories.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. We could definitely share horror stories.
It's a short podcast. I don't want you to have too many horror stories.
Rentals will do that. They'll have horror stories, I think, regardless.
Yes.
Now, is that something you're obviously, you said you continue to grow with, but as far as real estate goes and your own, I guess, you're not a brokerage, right? You're working for
Yes,
company,
I am
right?
not a broker. I am an agent working within a brokerage.
Now, is that something you see yourself maybe branching off into the future, doing your own brokerage, or do you not want to have a team? You just want to continue to grow yourself and your own brand?
Not at this time. Has not crossed my mind.
Yeah.
I'm happy doing what I'm doing now. I have other agents that are able to assist me while I'm assisting them in their goals. So I think at the moment, it's perfectly fine.
Perfect. That's awesome. And I think sometimes simple's a lot better than growing it.
Yeah, I mean, especially, we talk about with Tommy's got a bunch of rentals. It's like at some point you're going to hit a critical mass of time. I mean, you have 2 kids, time, attention, love, like sometimes keeping things a little simpler, keeping things in-house. That's kind of my philosophy with a lot of things. It's like the less stress, the less craziness, like, as long as you can kind of like spend time with your family, make money, make the money you need to survive. And, keeping it simple sometimes is the answer, at least maybe even for like a 5-year period, while the kids are young or something. And then, pedal to the metal as you get a little older, have a little bit more time. So we were just talking about how crazy our weekends are with, dance recitals and basketball coaching and stuff. It's like, you gotta leave time for all that stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, currently I have a goal for transactions to assist others. And at the same time, I have a goal for acquisitions. So
Perfect.
Once I hit one or the other, then that's when we pivot or possibly reassess the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess one more question kind of before we get into our wins for the week and everything. So social media obviously is like a huge thing that's helped me in my career. I'm assuming it's helped you as well, knowing how much you post and everything. How did you just kind of figure that this was a good way to market myself and got into it? Because I feel like you do very well on social media. You're very good at posting. We were talking about this prior to coming on here. Did you just kind of learn from watching other people and grow that way, or how did you get started with social media?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't even remember how, but watching others and realizing that being out there doesn't cost you anything. And for someone who's starting out a business and right on the ground floor of something, and to be able to have free publicity is priceless.
Yeah.
So to be able to have that exposure and what social media does is instrumental to any business.
Yeah. And I feel like there's obviously a very big age gap in real estate, where there's a lot of young realtors and there's a lot of older realtors, and the older realtors don't feel like they want to be on social media and get involved with that. But I think it really is a huge, kind of piece that's needed in this market, because I went door knocking for 2 years, going into real estate offices during COVID. Nobody's in a real estate office. Nobody's going to be there when you're going in with rate sheets or products you have to offer. Best way to get it out is on social media. And I always say you have a lot of friends you make throughout your life, but you don't talk to them every day. You have maybe 3 or 4 friends you talk to throughout the week, and that's about it. But all your other friends, they're following you on social media. They're watching what you're doing. It's like, I've had so many referrals come through because they know what I do, and they're, hey, it's time for me to buy a house. What, can you help me out with this? And yeah, absolutely. So I think it's very, very important to be on there, and I love what you're doing on there. So
thank you. Likewise.
Yeah, thank you. So, and then other than that, did you have any questions for Jake, or
you kind of mentioned like what your goals were for your kids, and I have kids too, and then a little bit younger, so it's interesting to hear other dads' perspectives and goals. But do you talk about your business and the rental properties and stuff? I mean, your 9-year-old's a little young, but maybe your 14-year-old, like, do they kind of have a concept of what you do and what their perceived goals should be?
My 9-year-old will be able to tell you right now, she could be anything she wants as long as she owns a rental property.
Okay. So she knows.
She's absolutely 100% with it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
And your 14-year-old?
Oh, without a doubt.
Same thing. Cool.
Yeah. Non-negotiable.
That's what I think. I kind of fell into it, luckily, and I'm very, grateful I did. My dad was a carpenter for 25 years. My mom has worked in the casino industry her whole life. They never really knew rental properties, and I kind of got referred a book. I read a book, and I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. And then ever since I was like 15, 16, I was like, I want to own real estate. And then, 10 years later, here I am. So it's a good thing to definitely start off young and understanding everything. But yeah, it's enough of my 2 cents.
I just picture you guys sitting around the fire, you like reading that book, like, now this is how you get into it.
Yeah.
This is the capital you need.
Reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad in front of the fireplace.
100%. Yeah.
But all right, so we'll kind of jump into the wins. Did you think of a win or no?
Yeah, I mean, we just filmed a couple days ago, so
yeah, so
not a lot has happened. But over the weekend, just a busy weekend. It was such a crazy week last week, which I mentioned on the podcast last week. So having some time to like sit down quietly on a non quote unquote work day and just like get all my ducks in a row and get back to square one to start this week strong. But yeah, with the craziness that was happening last week, turned into actual business this week. So that feels good to like get loans locked, get the applications out, get them into processing. And I mean, we even have one that's closing, I think, in like 22 days over the Christmas holiday because the seller wanted to close before the New Year. So just like kind of pounding those through. So yeah,
Awesome.
Real business came through this week that was kind of being curated last week.
Yeah,
so, felt good.
That's awesome.
Jake, you?
I actually, just something happened in the last 48 hours that I am it's still in awe. About 3.5 weeks ago, my buyers, we went on a house showing. We saw a house, loved it. We submitted an offer. They wanted to waive the inspections.
Okay.
We did. Out of 6 offers, we were third, and we lost the house.
Ugh.
It was just devastating.
Yeah,
they loved it. It was the one. We were the third. I congratulated the agent for getting such amazing attention. Significantly, I'm not even going to say how much over ask. It was a very strong offer, and congratulated the agent. She appreciated it. A week went by. Hey, agent, hope everything is well, but if something changes, I'm here for you. My buyers are still in love with this house.
Yeah.
Because they were so just emotionally drained. Another week went by. Hey, agent, hope everything's well with you. I'm thinking about the house. My buyers are still thinking about the house. If there's anything that happens, please let me know. And of course, I'm sending heart emojis. I'm doing,
really laying it on thick.
I am doing everything, absolutely, and she appreciates it. And we're building a relationship at this time. And then 48 hours ago, she says, "I think we're about to lose the buyers. Whatever it is, I'm not going into the details of why. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I want my buyers to get the house." She says, I'm expecting to get the termination today. Would it be all right? I turn around, I ask her, would it be all right if I give you an offer today as well? By all means. I reached out to my guys. Do you still want the house? There's a this is what's happening. Are you still, they talked in less than 30 minutes. By the time they were able to connect with one another, they said, do it. Wrote up another offer, almost identical, but they were able to save a couple of bucks. Because again,
yeah.
And to speed the story up, we finally got the contract back.
Oh man!
And we executed late last night.
Feels
Today
good.
they're going to get earnest monies, so everything's on lockdown.
Oh,
and
my
I
God.
asked, why did you go? Because we were third. We were not second in line.
Yeah.
The other second was also a cash offer, but it had to have a sale of their own previous contingency.
Yep.
They didn't want to do that. My guys were at least 20% straight up purchase, no contingencies.
Oh, beautiful.
So to me, I feel like I'm 7 feet tall today.
Yeah, no, absolutely, as you should. That's huge. Oh my God, that's such a good story.
Probably had, like you probably were about to say, like you followed up, and you were on their mind.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
That's awesome.
We deal a lot with people, especially first-time home buyers, not the 20% down, no contingency type people, who are just getting rejected on their offers. And I mean, it's a little bit of a line, but it's also, I always feel like, hey, the right house will come along. That one wasn't the right one. The next one will be. And I felt that in my own life. Like when we bought our primary home, 3 or 4 offers on different places, did inspections, we're under contract. And, for whatever reason they fell through, I'm like, I'm so glad we didn't get that house. Like knowing what we know now. So it just, sometimes I just feel like the right house will come along at the right time.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. And I think, congratulations. First off, that's such an awesome story. And I think having a realtor like that is what makes you as good as you are. Yeah, absolutely. And I think a similar thing happened with you in your storehouse. You know what I mean?
It was on the market a year ago, and I was just kicking myself for not being more proactive with it. And with the shore houses, it's hard to get away from work and go see it, and all that stuff. It's 2-hour drive down in the middle of winter. It's like whatever. Long story short, is that same house came back on the market a year later. In the interim, they had upgraded it. They had fully furnished it. They had basically put it on the market for what we thought was more than what it should have. Again, we weren't as proactive as we should have been. But then 3 weeks later, they dropped the price, and we slipped in there and got a fully furnished shore house for what we feel like was a great value. And had we bought it the year prior, it still would have been a great opportunity, but we feel like we landed at the right time.
No,
So,
yeah, it's awesome. And I guess my win for the week would be over the weekend. There's another Homestar Realtor actually. I had saved. Remember the phone call I got after the podcast? I saved that deal that happened. There was a deal that was falling through. Realtor had called me. He said, "Look, I know you've been emailing me." He's like, "Let's give this a shot." He's like, "I got a deal falling through right now." He's like, "Can you make this happen?" We made it happen. We closed in like 3 weeks, I think. It was a huge deal, and then he actually sent me a referral this weekend.
Nice.
Like online application, kind of working through it now.
You made him money on that last one that he theoretically wasn't going to make money on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't forget those.
No, for sure. So that worked out. It was just good hearing from him and seeing the text come through. So I think that's a pretty big win.
Yeah.
Solid, man. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. So, but other than that, I think I'm all good. You guys, you want to say anything else? You want to tag your stuff here?
You might as well mention what your Instagram handle is, and
all that
he'll
stuff.
put it in there, but you might as well say it.
Just Ask Jake. # Just Ask Jake.
Perfect.
Cool.
There you go.
Follow that.
Shoot that right up here on the screen again. As always, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Jake.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
coming
guys.
on, Jake.
Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Good luck.
I'm done.
Cheers. Cheers.
It's hard.